Folks, so today we are going to learn about very simple concept but an important one. So this concept is about creating a repository in GitHub and updating that repository to your local drive. So creating a repository, then downloading that repository to your local drive, making changes to that local drive, and then upload it back to the server with your changes. So very simple activity, but what we are going to do is we're going to use the command line tool to do that. It's a very easy activity to do, and I would like to sort of share my experience about that with you. So let's jump into it without further ado into the matter. So what I wanted to do before I get into that issue is I wanted to just give you a gist of the matter. So let's say let's divide the entire process. So let's say this is your cloud. All right, so this is where your server is, and this is an object that you have in an object file which you have created, and you want to make changes to this object. So this guy is currently in your Git repository. Okay, so this guy is here. Now you obviously want to make some changes. There's a lot of people working on this, and you want to use this object and make some changes to it. So the first thing that Git does to this particular process is that it creates a copy of that object here. Okay, and this copy is called a clone. So first thing we are going to do is we're going to learn how to clone your directory and how to get that cloned file into your local system. So once you've cloned this file, then you can work on this clone file in your local system. So this is your server, this side, and this is your local. So this side is your local, right? And the other side is your server. So this guy is your server, right? So this is just for your understanding. So when I say server, I mean cloud or whatever it could be, right? So here's your copy. Now, once this file comes to you, this object comes to your local file, you can make changes to it, you can play around with it, and you can update your file. So now you have to also assume that this is your master file, and a lot of people must be doing this. So you're not the only one making changes, and Git has to ensure that all the changes which is coming from every direction is managed by this particular. So this particular file doesn't break because of those changes. Let's say somebody removes this particular hand and you give him two hands, so Git should ensure that the hand remains if it wants to, if that is the functionality. So let's say in this particular matter you made some changes to this file. So what you would do is that in your local file, the Git will create a folder and keep this guy in a local folder in your desktop. And now you can make changes to this guy in your desktop. So this is where we're going to make the changes. So this is the guy initially, and we are going to make some changes. So let's say we made a change to his hairline and we gave him some kind of a spade and a weapon to fight with. Okay, now you made your changes. So what you do is you save your changes, obviously, right? So you have to make the changes here, and then you save those changes in your local drive, in your local, right? This is your local. And now what you do is you say to Git, and this entire process is managed by Git. So Git has an entire process wrap around this, so it knows what is happening around here. So now you tell Git that I am okay with this change and I want to. So once you save it, you say I want to commit this change, right? So you go and tell Git that I want to commit these changes. Please make these changes in your local copy. So Git says all right. So now you're saying you're committing to these changes. So he also adds that your local copy, and he puts this changed file in the local copy. Now your local's done. Now what you got to do is next step. Git tells you, okay, do you want to push this up? Do you want to make changes to the file which is there up there, the clone file that you have? So you say yes to it. So Git said, okay, so now if you want to do that, you can push the file here. Okay, and depending on your status, so if you are the owner of the entire repository or you're just the owner of a branch of that repository, Git will give you different kind of access. So let's say you only own a branch, and let's say you own the entire repository. So if you own the entire repository, you are the master of the repository. So it will say, all right, you are the master, you have created the file and you want to make changes to it. But let's say you are just one of those 10 developers who's working and you have only made changes to one area. Then there is another process where Git will see if your change needs to be accepted, okay, or rejected. So Git will allow that change to be accepted, or Git will say, no, I don't want the change to be accepted. It will reject the change. So this is how the Git process works. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do this process online. So I'll explain this to you. So I'm going to minimize this chart and let's move into our Git repository. So this is my Git page. So what I will do is I'll add a new repository here. So I'm going to call it new repository, new repo. Let's say new repo, if that's all right. And I'm going to say initialize the new repo. So I'm going to say initialize this, and I will say create a repository. So I will say now go ahead and create this repository. Okay. So repository has been created. They have given you a README file which they have added into your new repo. Now, once it's added into your new repo, you can go ahead and download that new repo and make changes as we were mentioning in our previous diagram. So what I'll do is I will now go ahead and download this. So if I were a not terminal person, then I would probably download it into my desktop and then open it there, download it as a zip and then open it there, make changes and send it back. But I want to show you the way which I would do here would be that I would copy to the clipboard, and then I will use the command line to prompt changes to Git. Okay, so I have copied this. Now I'm going to use the command prompt. So here's my terminal. So this is my terminal here. Now what I will do here is that first of all I need to find out where I want to keep this file. So let's say I want to keep this file in my desktop, or I would probably move it into my document. So if I am in my root, let's say, where am I? Yes, I'm in my root. So I'll go to my document. So I'm going to do cd documents, and now I'm in my documents. Yes. So let's just see if we have some files here. So we already have a GitHub here, but I'm going to use a test file just for our understanding. So we'll just make a file called test. So it's mk make directory, and we're going to call it test. And now we will go into that test file. Okay, so now we are inside the test because we want to just ensure that everything is within that. Now here we will move our file. So this is where we're going to clone our file. So as I was mentioning to you, the clone part of the file. So this clone part of the file, this part, that's what we're going to do here, and we will create a clone in our local system. So for doing that, first of all, you need to have Git installed. So this is not a video on installing Git, and if you have Git installed, then you would get something like this. So if you say Git and you type a version, it will tell you what version of Git it is, and that's what it will do. But if you don't have Git installed, then all these things won't come. So first thing first, you'll have to install Git. So let's assume you have installed Git, and then what I would do is first command. This is my first command. So I'm telling you there are only 3 commands to do your entire job. So first is git clone, and then you copy the URL that was there. So we've already copied it into our clipboard, so we just have to paste it here. So control or command V, and then we have pasted it there. So it's git clone https and the file name, and I press enter. Now it's cloning that new repo into my file. And after I've copied it here, what I would do is I would go and have a look at my folders and see if it has actually created something. So let's just go and see what has happened. So if I type open space dot, then it will open my file and say, you see, it has created a new report directory. So this is what it does. It goes and creates a new report directory, and within that new report directory, it has created a README file. So now let's get into that new report directory. So I will do cd new repo, R-E-P-O. So now we are into new repo. Now if you look at new repo, you will see that there is a git file, .git file there, which is not visible, and there is a readme file. So the git file is the one which is managing the entire show behind the scenes, which is not seen here, but the readme file is what we can see. So let's do one thing. Let's make some changes to the readme file and see what happens. So what I will do is I will go to the readme file and open it, and I'm going to use one of those text editors to open the readme file. So let's go to the readme file, right click and use perhaps Atom, which is a very good text editor. You can use anything, and I can go here and let's say I wanted to create something. So I'm going to type in Swift. So I'm going to create, let's say I want to create a class here, and I will call it business, right? And I am creating a class here, and I'm opening up a variable here, and I'm going to call it money, and I'm going to say give it a value of integer, and then I'm going to say var again, and I'm going to say name, and I'm going to give it a value of string here. So I'm just creating it. Now I can initiate it. So this is just a dummy file. I mean, don't take it otherwise. I'm just creating a dummy file. So I opened up the parameters for this file, and here I can do the same thing. So I'm saying this is money is an integer and name is a string. And now I'm opening this class further, and I'm saying that self dot money is equal to money, and self dot name is equal to name. So here I've created a class, and I've added I've initiated the class so that I can run that. So let's say this is my code. Now what I will do is I'll go and save this code here, okay, and I want to now I've made some changes to my readme file. All right, so assume that this readme file is your other file that you're working on. I'm just using the readme file as an illustration. So once you've done this, you save the file. We have already saved it. Saving is very important. So I go back to my step again, and I tell you that once you have saved the file, then you have to go and commit it back here, right? So I have to go and commit it. So for that, we'll have to open our terminal again. And now what you can do is you type the second command, which is called git commit, and you give it a space and put an A, and give it a space and put a M. Now the M is specifically for messages, so you want to say update class, or you can write anything. It is just for the other users to see. So I say git commit -a and -a. So it is now committing that particular file, and it's making those changes. Now once it's made those changes, again it's not gone back. So remember what we're talking about, it's gone, it's still in your local, it's still here in this part. Okay, so now we got to push your code back onto the repository. And since you're the master here, so I don't have to put it as a branch here. I simply can go and post it here and say, this is the final change, guys, because I'm the master of this file and I'm going to control it. But in a network scenario, you would have several developers, and there will be a master who would control the version of this particular file, which part of that he will accept or not accept. Okay, so let's do it. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to say git push, and this is the part that you've got to remember, origin, and you're the master here. So git push origin master, and once I do that, then the file gets uploaded onto the repository. Now how do I know that? If I go to my repository and if I do a refresh, I should see that class getting updated here. So this is how I have updated my class here from my Git repository using my command prompt. Now I can keep doing these. I can add more variables here and I can make changes here. Let's say I add here. So let's just add some more changes here. But do remember to save this thing, because if you don't save it, then it won't work. So first save, and then I say git commit. So git commit and -a and -m and new changes perhaps. And now another change has been added. And now I say git push origin, and again I push it to the master. So it's gone to the master again now, and the process has been completed. And if you just want to see your git status, you can also do that. If something has gone right, you type git and status. So it says on branch master. So it says that you are the master and it's gone to that master branch, and your branch is now up to date with origin of master. So now if I do another refresh, I would see that additional code which we typed, which has come here. So this has come here as well. So this was a quick tutorial about creating a repo, downloading that repo, making changes to that repo, committing that repo, and pushing it back into your Git repository. So I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.